Hey YouTube, Pat the Sound Guy here again on another road trip. I'm in Canada, Ontario this weekend with Signal Hill, and it was a night set up for the first show of the weekend, and had a cable failure. Of course, we always do have that every so often, uh, and I'm going to show you why it happened. You know what happens with these particular kind of cables, the connectors, why they fail when you have cable failures. A very general problem. So let's get to it. So here I am with my trusty on-the-road soldering kit. My solder here, I've got my cable connector that's going to be resoldered. I've got a pointer tool here, my screwdriver here to show you what's going on. I've got my wire strippers here ready to rock and roll. And of course I've got this trusty silicone mat, which I'm a big fan of these guys. I've recently just got a couple of bigger ones for my bench at home. And you can't beat them. Go to the dollar store, a couple bucks, you get a nice piece of silicone. You, as I showed you before, you can take the hot soldering iron. See that hot soldering iron is nice and hot, and it doesn't hurt the bench or the table at all. And the solder doesn't stick either, which is kind of cool. So you can actually take a connector, and if you want to get rid of the solder out of the connector or something like that. Solder doesn't hurt, doesn't stick, doesn't nothing. It's great. So anyway, here's why this cable failed. It's a pretty common issue I see with this particular kind of connector. This is a Nutrix connector, and there's a lot of Nutrix style connectors. They're very readily copied nowadays, and they all have the same kind of strain release. As you've seen in my video for my XLR Snake modification and repair, there's this little strain relief. This little set of jaws here. Is this what keeps the cable from pulling out of the connector? So when you slide the sleeve on there, this goes on there. This screws in there and tightens those jaws onto the jacket of the cable. Now, when this cable wasn't functional, I noticed there's this little gap here. And that tells me that this strain relief isn't tightened up all the way. Whenever you get new cables, always take and tighten this strain relief all the way, as tight as it'll go. And these ones you can kind of see they have a little bit of give there. There. That's more what you're looking for here. No gap. You can kind of see this bends a little bit around here, that sleeve. That way, when that gets pulled on a microphone or a direct box or anything of that nature, you get a good strain relief, and that cable's not going to pull out and fail. Now, here's what's wrong with this inside. This is, standard issues. This is standard. Dealing with sound, you're always going to have this kind of problem. There is our problem right there. That's why I had no 12-string guitar in my mix. See, that's pin 3, not connected. So, let's start out by showing you a couple different ways you can fix this. So, there's a quick and dirty way. This is the quick and dirty way. Give this a little pull. This is not really the best way to repair this. It won't be might not be a lasting repair. It could last quite a while, might not. But if you need to get out on mic cables, and you need to get through the show, you need to be quick and get back on the road. You just take your strippers, strip that a little bit, being very careful not to cut the end off the cable, of course. Sometimes you can heat the jacket of that a little bit with a soldering iron just to get that a little easier to strip off with your strippers. And it's easier if you have a vise or similar kind of tool. The best way to do it is to have a small box with the different types of connectors to plug your different types of cable ends into. So quick and dirty. So take this, tin that up a little bit. little bit tough to see, watch through the camera and do this at the same time. Tin that up a little bit. Little flux in there. Bang. Fixed. Try not to melt anything here. It's there. Quick, dirty. Looks just as it should. Bang, you're ready to go. Now, another way to fix this is actually to desolder all three. This is probably the best way to fix this, because then you can get the best strain relief action out of your shield or ground. I always try to make that shield the shorter of the two by just a hair, so the shield goes all the way around inside the jacket, and that will actually help from tearing off the other two wires. So unsolder this guy. And this guy. And this guy. There we go. Alrighty then. So you can see they're not all the same length. And usually if it's been pulled on quite hard, it'll have a long enough length there for you to deal with. And these are all fine. Adjust the length of that. If you had to, you can always strip back more jacket and get this on the go. Double check the end of our connector and see which pin is which. So there is pin 1, which is going to be our shield or ground, and pin 3 and pin 2 is off to the left. So let's see, we got a good soldering iron action here. No flux. New solder and some flux. And new solder and some flux in there. Bingo. Now, tinning action here, and tinning action there. Of course, that's already tinned, but sometimes it's nice to get a little bit of flux on there. Keeps from skating around the screen on you, so you don't have to get sick like you're riding a roller coaster watching me repair cables. There we go. Clean this tip a little bit. Best way to do this is with a wet piece of toilet paper, paper towel, sponge. But right at this moment, I don't have access to that at the moment, so we'll do it. We'll just give a little quick scrape. Sometimes when you're repairing equipment on the fly while the band is playing, you don't have that option to get to a water source and wet down a sponge or something like that, so you just got to be able to go with it. Replace tips quite often doing that, but tips are cheap. Not being able to play your show is not cheap. Bit of heat on that. Just like the factory. done. We got nice shiny solder joints, no cold solder joints, just like the factory. And that's the way you fix that. Quick, dirty. You see this shield is just a hair shorter than the other two, so that takes any extra strain. So the pins 2 and 3 don't get any strain when you pull on it if the strain relief isn't quite so tight. Place connector, shield, jacket, everything. There you go. One repaired cable. Hope this video helped you out. Save you a little cash. You don't have to buy a new mic cable. Get you on the road real quick. And show your appreciation by rate, commenting, and subscribe. And hopefully some more videos will be coming shortly. Thanks very much, and party on.